Okay, so we're back with In the Mix TV with your girl author Cece Monet, and this is Webisode number 3. So, in the last vlog, I was talking to you about just some kind of common sense rules to keep in mind, some food for thought for Black women and dating, right? So, number 1 was stop, look, and listen, basically all about communication, understanding, and really kind of listening to the guys that you're with. To stop taking advice from people that are not qualified to give it. 3, accept reality. Stop trying to change things that are not for you to change. Don't try to change him. Let him change himself or deal with whatever he needs to deal with himself. If it's not what you like, if you got to do all this molding and resculpturing, that's the wrong dude. Go find somebody else. Number 4, stop trying to control him. You are not his mama. He's going to have to figure it out for himself. If you feel like you got to do that much coddling and hand holding, that dude's never going to be your partner anyway. Like somebody told me before, your man can't be your charity case. So let him figure it out. And if he can't, then again, it's time to let it go and go get somebody else. Because you really want a good match for you. If you're going to spend this much time dedicated to somebody, like committing your time and your resources, your efforts and your energy, you really want to be with somebody that you know is the right person. You don't have to settle, but again, just be realistic. Number 5, and this is the kind of the next point that I didn't get to in the last video. Enough already with the tit for tat ego tripping. Okay, a good example of this, if you want to know more clearly what I'm talking about, go watch Jamie Foxx's video, Just Like Me. Just check it out. You'll understand exactly what I mean if you don't already. Everybody, the truth is, everybody does need their ego stroked in a relationship. That's true. But don't go overboard with it. You know, when you start getting into that, well, I have it worse because every day I'm Black and a woman in a society that discriminates against both. Stop. If you're finding yourself like in a situation where it's basically like, who can hurt who the worst? Well, I can hurt you because I can say this and give you this verbal tongue lashing or whatever, and he's, responding with verbal or emotional abuse himself, or even domestic violence, which is a problem in our community. Stop. Just cut it all the way out and let that go. Because that's not the point. If you find yourself starting to fall into that pattern, again, stop, look, listen, and redirect, because you're starting to go down the wrong path, my personal opinion. Number 6, kind of going along with that whole verbal abuse kind of deal. Do not nag, disrespect, read your man the riot at basically dressing him down in public. Because no matter how quiet you think you are, how quietly you think you're doing it, somebody around you can hear you. And not only is that humiliating to your man who needs to save face in public, it just causes resentment. So again, cut it. And this is not just my personal opinion. These are things that I've been talking to with, my friends, and, male and female, around me for the last few years, just really kind of checking out what works, particularly in successful marriages, and what doesn't. So kind of a caveat to that too is, don't call your man names. Like, I know you're just playing, you so stupid. Don't do that. Understand that the power of your speech has an effect on him, the same way that the power of his speech has an effect on you. And you don't want to be internalizing that negativity the same way you don't want him internalizing that negativity when you go to speak to him. So just be sure that you're careful about your speech and that you're speaking, positivity and love over the person that you're with, because that's kind of the point, Okay, so the next thing is keep it real. Keep it 100. Okay, here's what I mean about that. To thine own self be true. Not just a trite adage. It's really, really the truth, especially in a relationship. You have to understand before you get in that relationship who you are, what you want, and what direction you want this relationship to go in. Um, that has to be like step one, because if you guys don't have a common like goal, you don't have like common direction, you're not going in the same place in life, you're going like this, that equals disaster, which equals ultimate relationship fail. So you want to avoid that. So while I totally believe in constant and never ending improvement, I'm all about self improvement. Understand when you go to make those changes, these need to be changes that you're making for yourself. Because if you're making a change, whether it's losing weight or learning a new language or basically trying to be somebody that you really aren't for the sake of trying to impress this guy, ultimately that's going to come off as fake. And the reason that you want to keep that, that kind of genuineness about you is, one, you want him to know the real deal. The good, the bad, the wonderful, the super ugly, like everything. He needs to know what that is. The same way that you need to know those things about him so that you guys can decide whether or not you're going to move forward. If you find yourself, I'm going to give you a really good example, and this is coming from the AMBW community. Those of you that have been around this kind of phenomenon will know what I'm talking about. If you find yourself on Google Translate or Yahoo Babelfish trying to pretend like you know Japanese, Chinese, or Korean, or some other language that you are not well versed in for the sake of trying to impress this dude, can I just say right now, stop it. Don't do that. First of all, those translation services are not that good, and that's going to probably end up coming back to bite you in the ass. Just don't do it. But kind of a larger view of that is understand what your faults and weaknesses are. Yes, of course, especially in the beginning when you're putting your best face forward, your best foot forward, you want to show like your strengths, and you want to definitely capitalize on that so you can show this other person how you can be an asset to him, and hopefully he's doing the same for you. But at the same time, not, I guess, like being honest about what your faults and what your weaknesses are. It's just going to make things in your relationship difficult. So don't do that. The same way you want him to keep it real with you, you need to keep it real with yourself first and foremost, and keep it real with him too. So there's that. And then kind of the last thing I want to talk about here is don't get involved in a relationship for the wrong reason. Like, you do not have to be involved in a relationship with somebody because you're bored, because you're lonely, because you're feeling desperate, because whatever. You know what the wrong reasons are. Like, I don't have anything better to do, and he asked me out. Don't do it. Because, again, this goes back to understanding ultimately what's your outcome. What do you want to happen in this situation? And this doesn't just apply to like romantic involvements. This applies to any situation or any relationship that you have in life. Like, why is it that you want this person to be a part of your life? Ultimately, where are you two going together? Are you on the same page about that goal? If you're not, can you get on the same page about that? And if you can't, what are you going to do next? Because, again, at the end of the day, you don't want to be wasting your time when you could be utilizing your time, energy, and other resources to find somebody that you really want to be with. So there's that. Basically, if you're not like really like for truly ready to like ride or die for somebody, like have their back, share your life with them and share their life with you. No, not just the good parts, everything. Because when you're with somebody, you're going to get the whole package. And everybody has bad days. Everybody's made bad decisions. Everybody has some circumstances, some baggage. Some people have like a small little handbag. Some people have a huge, gigantic closet full of shit that, you might be able to deal with. You might not be able to deal with. But again, that goes back to kind of keeping it real with yourself. And this is why you have to understand, what is your motivation for getting involved in this relationship? Are you just looking for somebody to hang out with? Do you just want a casual relationship? If that's the case, then that's okay. But you need to be honest with yourself about that, and he needs to know that too, so that you're both on the same page about that. You're both traveling in the same car together. And kind of one last thing that I wanted to talk about there in terms of kind of mutual respect and commitment and honesty, and just making sure that you guys are pretty much on the same page. Make sure that you're equally yoked. I know the Bible talks about this, and we kind of talk about this for those of you that have a Christian background all the time, but you really do want to make sure that you have enough in common with this other person. You know, do you have the same educational level? Do you have the same type of background? Do you understand the same kind of things about life? Do you have the same kind of political views, the same kind of religious views? Do you have the same friends or the same types of friends? You know, if you're really going to invest a lot of your time into being with somebody, these things are going to be really important to think about, because again, if it's that whole mismatch, you guys just can't seem to meet in the middle, that's probably not going to work for the long term. So anyway, I'm sure I'll be back soon with more things to say on In the Mix TV. Please continue to send me your comments on ccmonet.com, on email. Everything, all the ways to contact me are on ccmonet.com. And I will see you guys again for episode. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.